Hello, new hire, and welcome. This is training/education film number 1. What do we do with recovered anomalies? As listed in your welcome packet and documentation, you will be expected to complete all survey training films before you are considered of adequate training and ready to be sent into the field. Here we have Agent 45 of Archives Retrieval Force number 58310. Say hello to the new hire, Agent.
Run! Hello, new hire.
Aren't they swell? Agent 45 here was gracious enough to volunteer themselves to demonstrate what we are going to cover in today's training document.
And what are we covering today?
I'm glad you asked, Agent. Today we will be covering the trivial but vital matter here in the archives. What do we do with recovered anomalies?
Excellent.
Excellent response, Agent. This has been noted on your file. So, Agent, what are the procedures for containment of an anomaly that yourself or your new colleagues may find and be capable of returning to our foundation?
That's an easy one. We have a simple-to-follow code of containment that we call Archive. Simply follow the acronym Archive to ensure top safety of yourself, your unit, and, if applicable, the foundation. A. Approach. This one's an easy one. If you or your team collectively are capable, approach the anomaly. R. Restrain. Step 2 is to restrain the anomaly. Be sure to refer to your Archive Field Guide, AFG. If you are unsure how to use restraining tools given to you during the mission debriefing. C. Capture. Step 3 is capture the anomaly. On your person, there should be a single-use encapsulation device, SED. Press the activator switch on the front and connect the device to an exposed limb, appendage, organic or inorganic material firmly by pressing the now open SED into the anomaly. 8. Holster. Step 4 is holster the SED. SEDs are pretty sturdy in their construction, but returning them to their SED holster will ensure that no accidental releases of the anomalies happen. I. Identify. If an anomalous archive foundation in another dimension has captured the same anomaly, you will receive a phone call with that correspondence from that branch. Write that down in your field report. If it is a new anomaly, simply denote that in your report. V. Validate. Ensure that you have completed your field report and begin extraction. E. Extract. Ensure that all alive members of your crew are accounted for and return with your closed and holstered SED to the marked extraction point on the final page of your field report. If you talk to a fellow agent who has been a member of the agency since 1900, they may state that E means exit. If you are told this information, report that foundation member to your manager promptly. And that's it. As long as you remember Archive, you and your retrieval task force should be safe in your capture and containment of any anomaly that you may find.
Excellent demonstration, Agent 45. You are dismissed. In front of you, you will find your field report documentation for your next mission.
Wait, I was told that if I volunteered for this work, I would be excluded from the infection unit. Oh, wait!
This concludes your training for the day, new hire. Turn to your rest station and prepare for your next lecture.
Welcome to Refinement, Archive Task Force number 487. Records indicate your force was to investigate an anonymous tip the agency had received, a small traveling display of artifacts, unusual and unexplainable, run by a Mr. Gary Flax, Esquire. Were you able to intercept his means of transport and investigate his assortment?
We were able to intercept him, yes. We were able to gain access to the matters he had in his possession and was transporting. And upon investigation done by myself and agents number 234, 453, and 999, we determined that the materials he was in possession of were, indeed, anomalous in nature, and were contained in SED units and brought back to location.
Excellent work, Task Force number 487. Begin your abstract.
As stated previously, the name of this anomalous is Wacky Flax's Unusual and Unassuming Universe. a traveling sideshow attraction that operated by charging a fee to see and interact with the items owned by Mr. Gary Flax. The OR of this location is unknown, as the tip was anonymous. The abstract of this report is as follows. Hidden in the sleepy farmlands of eastern Ohio near Mansfield was a location that was open year-round, but once a year operated a show that mystified and amazed those fortunate enough to stumble upon it. Wacky Flaxes took place at a fairground owned and operated by Mr. Gary Flax himself, though most of the operational time this land saw was rented by other attractions. The unusual and unassuming universe, Mr. Flax's own creation, only ran for 1 week of the calendar year, and he made sure it varied greatly year to year. He stated his intention was to expose the greatest amount of people to the wonders of the universe while keeping the fun alive by making it a mystery as to when it would open. The artifacts he carried are unexplainable, and he refuses to speak of where he came in contact with them, only saying, "I'm an old man. I've been around long enough to know what dark corners hold the wildest surprises."
I understand that he was operating with artifacts that were, at worst, extremely dangerous. I do not agree with how we treated Mr. Flax. He was very kind and welcoming to us. He did not need to be contained in an SED.
Further interjections with frivolous opinions will be subject to ascending disciplinary actions as outlined in your contract. Begin your report now.
We drove in a company vehicle out to Mansfield, Ohio. Shortly upon arrival, we were greeted with the coolest thing I've ever seen, a sign and an empty lot.
The sign gave us the contact information for Mr. Flax. We were able to make contact with the gentleman after writing his contact information down and traveling some miles away from the fairgrounds into a local gas station, where we used a public access payphone stall located outside.
We informed Mr. Flax that we were representatives of the Greater Ohio Scientists, a fictitious organization that Agent 453 conjured up on the spot. We presented him with an inquiry for an interview, of which he gleefully agreed. We did have a stipulation, and in his words, it was, "Ain't gonna answer if you ask when this year's show is, though. That's a mystery."
He invited us to interview him back at the fairgrounds we were at previously. Though not operational at the time, we were able to get on location. There was some permanently stationed buildings on site for commercial use, concession stands, a medical building, bathrooms, etc. In the back right was a medium-sized storage location that he invited us into. He stated that it was his office whenever he was on site.
Acknowledged. Please detail what you were able to recover from your interview with Mr. Flax.
First of all, Mr. Gary was obviously not a Mr. Gary Flax. All we could see of him was a cheap Halloween store costume in a dimly lit room. He was wearing a blue robe with white stars printed all over it and a long pointy hat to match. He was like a children's book character.
Mr. Flax was indeed rather anomalous in nature himself, as despite being in a room lit enough to see the color of his clothes, all of his organic matter was shrouded in black. Even at times he stood to walk around and show us objects. No matter where the light struck him, all of what you would assume to be exposed flesh was not visible.
The interview was about what you would expect. In layman's terms, Mr. Flax was very much an old coot. He spoke in a voice you'd expect from a prospector from a cartoon. He would
Flax showed us was a plain old box of cigarettes. At least, that's what you'd think it was by looking at it. It had a distinct white and blue color scheme, with the words Blue Lady printed on the box, and on each individual cigarette. Flax claimed that a tobacco seller down in Guam had sold it to me, and this here brand of cigarettes got a whole carton of them. He offered one to me after that. Of course I took it. We'd been out for over a week, and other people in this task force aren't exactly sunshine and rainbows all the time. I figure a little smoke would take the edge off the day I was having. After lighting the thing, I tried a little bit of it, and I swear I saw a lady in a blue dress and lipstick. I didn't mess with it after that. He flicked the cherry off of it and stashed it in his pocket after I was done with it. Flax giggled to himself after that and hit me with the, "What, that too strong for you, city slicker? That's a countryman's product." He then took the box back into the room and came back, presumably after locking it up.
The last object Gary Flax would show us was a small fountain pen, not unlike any you've seen before. He presented it to us in the box he claimed it was produced in, saying, "This one was given to me by a buddy of mine who was in the military back during World War II. This one's real special. The box was beautifully crafted, a stained oak wood box, with sliding lid, lined with beautiful red felt that looked like the cinnamon world hadn't touched it. The tip of the pen, notably, had a small cork placed onto it. He sat the object down on the table and shuffled into a back room, and came back with a canvas and easel, and a leather-bound book with blank pages. He then prompted one of us to pick up the pen.
I tried to tell them that I didn't want to, but they cited something in the contract that said I was obligated to grab pen-shaped objects. Weird clause.
Everyone knows about the agent with the number 5 in their identification code has to grab pen-shaped anomalies, clause in their contract. Getting back on topic, once the agent had placed the object directly into their grasp, they claimed that they had lost control of the appendage voluntarily. Agent 453 claims that though they knew the pen was controlling them, they simply let it happen. And though they claimed to have no prior artistic talents, they produced a very professional-looking portrait of themselves.
I wish I could draw like that all the time. I probably wouldn't have to work here if so.
Agent 453, you will be subject to Tier 1 discipline for your interjections. Further interjections will elevate that. Please refrain from doing it further.
Agent 453 claims that once the pen had felt the work was done, they regained complete control of the appendage in question. The pen was then placed back to the box, and Flax took it into the same back room that he had produced the book and canvas from and secured it there.
Acknowledged. What took place after your contact with the items?
We tried to explain to Mr. Flax that we are agents of the Anomalous archive, and that we would have to repossess these items, as they pose a threat to the public at large.
Unfortunately, he did not take very kindly to that news, and began to grow distressed.
I tried to reason with the others here that this was not a threat to us, and I was sure that we could have reached a peaceful median.
He grew hostile with us and began reaching for a heavily locked box directly to his left. The box in question was in this room the whole time, which was evidence enough to me that he had planned to produce something from that box if the interview had not gone his way. He said, "I knew there was something off about you city slickers. Want to know what I do with other folks meddling in my business?" I encapsulated him in SED and gave ownership of that object back to the archive.
The other objects we knew the locations for were also contained in SEDs, but there was much in that storage location, and we had only our assigned SEDs. We conclude our report with the direct coordinates of the location, that being in. Further, agents should be dispatched as well as protective class personnel, as we have reason to believe some of the anomalies contained there are violent or pose a threat to human life.
This concludes our initial report for Anomalous location number 34356, Wacky Flax's unusual and unassuming universe.
Excellent work, team. This concludes your refinement. Please return to your specified quarters and await your next task. more scary than thinking you know somebody, but you don't. Following the increase of reports of doppelganger-like entities in your area, here's some quick questions you can ask to keep your family safe.
What is your name? Where are you from? What are your parents' names? Why are you following me?
If you don't receive the answers you know you should, contact the Paranormal Detainment Agency, PDA, by calling... That number again is...
And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast, 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 feast.
Thank you for keeping you and your community safe.
Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't be so serious. Life's too mysterious.